Though you may have dreamt of being the perfect person you think you see in others, know this: perfectionism is the illusion. Nobody's perfect, but everybody's trying. Everyone, welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I hope that you're doing well, and man, we've got exciting energy happening this week. So I'm recording this one early because by the time you see this, hopefully by the time you see this, it will be the full moon in Leo. So that's happening on Wednesday, February 16th. So I'm hoping that this is released on that day and I get to celebrate it with you and say, Happy New Moon. I hope you have a great one. That got me thinking about this week's topic and what I wanted to go into. And it's a kind of a combination between perfectionism and theory versus practice, because this is something that I see a lot of people doing, and myself included. We sort of outsmart ourselves into thinking we've done the work because we understand the work. So I want to start by talking about perfectionism and just understanding that whole concept of perfect, or I see somebody who's living the life I want to live and I see them as being perfect or having something perfected. That is an illusion, right? So remember the iceberg. You only see what's on the surface, and below all that is every ounce of effort that went into creating what you're looking at. So remember that when you're looking at the surface of something, we don't know what's behind it. And please don't compare the surface of something to the work that you're doing, right? That's one of those things that takes us down in energy really fast. When we're looking at the surface of something and we're like, wow, that looks really good. It's polished. It's done. They figured it out. And the reality is that it's like the duck on the surface of the water. I've got all these water metaphors coming in. It's like the duck, right? It looks like it's gliding along super smooth, and underneath its little feet are like going really fast. So if we can hold that in our mind, that there is no perfect, the perfect is an illusion, and what we're truly and genuinely attracted to is imperfection, because that's authentic, because perfect is an illusion, and that means it's not real. I mean, there is a divine sort of order that's going on, but I don't even know if that would be called perfect, because perfect sort of implies it's done. Like, it's perfect implies that it's hit a peak or a mark and it's perfected. There's nothing more you can add to that. And so even though they might say that the cosmos is in a perfect order, it's really more like in a expanding order versus a perfect order. It's always evolving, it's always changing, it's always making a new shape. And that's what we're supposed to be doing too. So the first part of the message is, if you're caught in that trap right now, let go of the illusion of perfection. That actually was created by the Matrix, the whole negative timeline, negative group thing. That's kind of their MO, is this idea of perfection. They want static, which is what perfectionism implies. It's already done, it's set, it can't be more perfect than it already is. Where a natural cycle and natural movement and aligned movement is always dynamic and active and morphing and changing. Just like you throughout the day, right? You wake up and you feel one way, and the day progresses and you move through many different feelings. And then as the day is ending, you move into even another state, right? So this is where we need to remember that's natural. That is divine, that kind of alignment. The second part of this week's message is about understanding theory versus practice. I was on a coaching call today and I was listening to somebody talking about, right, they're asking for solutions to their problems. That's what we do when we're working with our coaches, our guides, our mentors, whoever's there to support and help us. We're looking for solutions, right? And it's interesting because listening to the coaching, there was solutions being presented. And it was interesting because I was listening to 3 different people talking through an issue. And they all acknowledge, oh yeah, I understand that, but right? So what they're saying is they actually understand the theory behind what they're being coached to do. And I'm going to say 3 out of the 3, it was mindset related. And it was interesting because all of them had the energy of doing, right? So they were looking for something to do. Give me something that I can externalize outside of myself to focus on to change my situation. But the answer always came back to mindset, which got me to think about, working with my own clients and also my own life and how we do this. It's like when I'm being coached through certain things, I have a couple coaches, and when I'm working with them, it's like what they say to me resonates. I'm like, I actually get this. I understand this. And at some level, I knew it before they were going to tell me. And yet, what's the thing? Why am I experiencing the problem over and over again? Or why do clients experience the problem over and over again? And it has to do with there is this sort of schism between theory and practice. And there's a part of the mind that's like, once I think I understand the theory, then somehow that's taking care of it. Oh, I understand how this operates, therefore it's taken care of. And it doesn't work like that. And in fact, in traditional training settings, like let's say you were training to become a doctor, for example, you would have the theory part, you would study that. You'd study how things work and learn how it all fits together. But that doesn't make you a doctor on its own. It's not until you take that theory and you put it into literal practice does the student start to move towards mastery. And it's the same in our own lives. And so one of my coaches gave us a great practice, and I want to share it with you because it's been so helpful to get me to practice what I understand. And I want to hand this over to you, and I hope that this will work for you as well, especially, of course, in order for it to work, you have to use it, right? So it's like, we can't just think about it, we actually have to do it. But this one has a really nice fluid transition from understanding to implementing. And the practice is by deciding the kind of person you want to be, just having a focal point for who you want to be. Like maybe you want to be a more productive person, or maybe you want to be a more understanding person. I chose a more confident person because that's an area that I'm constantly coming back to and reinvesting my energy is into real confidence. And so this is how it works. By deciding that I want to be a confident person, when I approach an area where I'm starting to have doubt, where I'm starting to feel a struggle, or like I want to give up, I ask myself one simple question. I ask myself, what would a confident person do here? And the beautiful thing about that is you always get an answer. You're always going to get the answer that'll lead you to the feeling state you're looking for. So every time I ask myself in a situation, what would a confident person do here? I get an answer that if I follow that direction, leads me to that state of confidence. So again, the question is, what kind of person would you like to be more of? What would you like to increase in yourself? Right? And a one-word answer works really well. And be specific. So if you're like, I want to be kind, friendly, loving, supportive, those are all great. Pick one. Pick one so that you can ask yourself the question and give yourself clear direction. And let me know if it works for you. It moves you from the understanding of this is how I need to think. Yeah, I know I need to change my thoughts, to how to change the thought. So again, what kind of person do you want to be? And then when you get to a situation where you are kind of at a crossroads or don't know what to do, or you're feeling, like I said, like that self-doubt, ask yourself, what would a blank person do? And you'll get that direct answer. And I hope that helps you. I've been watching, there's so many people now, like, we have the answers. We have the answers. And as consciousness continues to increase on the planet, which it definitely is, you're definitely going to have the answers. That means the theories are there. You know, what's operating, we understand it. Now, are we moving in the direction that we desire to go? Are we practicing being the version of ourselves we desire to be? This is one little way to start practicing being the person you desire to be. With that, let's do some karma cards. All right, for those who are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what's the message for this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, one in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you just tune in using your beautiful intuition and decide, what is it you need this week? Are you looking for action-related answers, or are you more interested in what outcomes will be occurring over the next week? And of course, you can always choose both. And the timing for this reading while you're choosing is February, I still can't remember, it's February 16th through the 23rd. And the flavor of this reading, we've got the North Node. Okay, the North Node talks about where we're headed to. It's sort of a destiny point. So we're looking at the future, but the rest of the reading is cray-cray because it's about the past. We've got Cancer, which is the sign that represents our past, our roots, in the 4th house, which literally represents the past and the roots. This also is connected to the mother energy and the moon. So it's all about deep intuition, but the answers for the future are connected to the past. For those who are choosing action, your spiritual action is have faith in your feelings as you did in the past. So when we're looking at in the past, we're looking at our root structure, how we grew up, right? So, and this again often goes to like childhood when we're looking at this. So we're looking at that state that we were in when we were more instinctively guided rather than trying to think things through. We were sort of instinctually, like we just kind of knew what we liked, what we didn't like, how we felt about something. We weren't looking for a lot of external validation. We were just listening. And that's the kind of place we need to get back to, especially as we're working with discernment. So discernment is an interesting topic that requires deeper investigation because it is a skill that we are meant to develop, but it's a spiritual maturity skill. And it requires us to use a holistic thinking, right? So we're using both our intuitive, instinctual mind and our logical mind and critical thinking, and we're putting them together, and that's what creates discernment. But half of that is having faith in your own instinct, in your own intuition. And that's why I love to work with people, because really is what blocks intuition isn't talent or ability. That's you already have it. Right? Intuition is part of your toolbox that you were brought to earth with. It's about doubt, and it's about second guessing yourself. And that kind of stuff happens over time. Something has happened in the past that disconnected you from it. And right now it's asking you to sort of go backwards in time to heal the future, to increase your intuition, especially in the future, and your discernment. You almost need to go back in yourself and undo the knots that created the self-doubt and the block. And to start with is just trusting that you have this tool. That's the faith, right? Whether you can see it or not, you already have the tool. By having faith in it, you create that deeper feeling and that sense of knowing. Mental action at this time, do not worry about attitudes from the past about your home base or your family. It's interesting because this time when you're going backwards, it's not about looking at what people said to you. It's actually not about looking at the details of how you got caught up in doubting yourself. Instead, this is simply looking backwards and being like, there's the spot, that's the knot, untie it. So most of us have looked back enough in ourselves that we can see the situation and the belief, the moment that the belief forms. What happens is we tend to dwell on that spot rather than letting it go. And we get sucked back into the pain. We get sucked back into the drama. We reactivate, and it's almost like we reinforce that belief in ourselves. And instead, what we want to do is just go back and acknowledge, oh, that's the moment I stopped trusting myself. And it's like, undo, rewind, right? We rewind it, like get that knot untied, and we let go of the causality, because there's nothing we can do about that other than acknowledge that it happened and we're okay now, right? We can do deep inner trauma work and inner child work, and in some cases we do need to do that. But for this week, it's kind of a lighter version of that exercise where it's like, can I let go of the self-doubt? Not so much what happened at its core, but can I let go of that right now so that I can trust myself in this moment deeper? Physical action. Now is the time to use your intuition and do what makes you feel secure. Interesting. Again, so we're being asked to go back and just choose again, can I trust myself now? Now that I see what happened there, what caused me to move out of self-trust, will I choose to trust myself now? And apparently this is urgent, like using the intuition is urgent right now. And again, as we're moving through these higher cycles of consciousness, our intuition naturally increases, even for people who aren't trusting it. It's naturally increasing, but it's kind of the difference between having like a blocked spigot and a spigot that will fully open, right? So the fluid coming through the spigot is there, or through the tap is there. No matter what, no matter how blocked or unblocked the spigot is, there's always going to be this fluid that would represent your intuition. The spigot is your trust. The more you trust yourself, the more unblocked your flow is, and the more of it can come out. The more you doubt yourself, the more tight or blocked the spigot is, and you're only getting drips. But the drips, right, well, will get a little bit bigger. So if you can move into that place of deeper trust and acknowledging that this is just where I stumbled, but I get up and I let myself dust it off and I truly let it go now, the flow of intuition is increasing. And just also the time period that we're in where consciousness continues to accelerate. And so it's kind of like everybody's going to get cracked open, but there's different ways to get cracked open. We've talked about this before. There's the way where you're going into surrender and you're letting it open you because you're ready, or there's just the lightning struck tower moment where the lightning bolt comes, it cracks you open, but you feel like everything's falling apart first. Both cases, it's for the better. Just one feels more like you're working with it versus it's working on you. All right, so now let's look at outcomes for the North Node in Cancer in the 4th house. For those choosing outcome, your spiritual outcome will be, there will be intuition to protect what makes you feel secure. That's the point I forgot to touch on. So, and again, this is a time period where we're being asked to relearn what security is, because so much of our sense of security got attached to the outside world. And again, this isn't something that anyone did wrong. It's sort of by design. I mean, think about this. We're the only, I think, mammal, maybe even animal, that's born on the planet that is completely helpless and requires outside assistance for years of our life. I mean, think about like a baby horse being born is walking around and feeding itself within a couple of hours. That's, if you really think about it, it's like staggering. Can you imagine if humans were like that, where we're like, just got up and we're like, come on, bye. No, we're designed to be completely dependent on those around us. And so therefore we naturally, like one of the very first things I think humans do is we attach our sense of security to the outside world. And I do believe it's part of it's by design. It's not like some evil plot. It's actually by design because we are a community-based being. We have this understanding of each other because it's part of our evolutionary process. As we move from third density to fourth density, we become more of a collective consciousness, a cohesive collective consciousness. So it's weird, like when you stop and think about how humanity is designed, we're already set up to realize other people are important. Because as we progress spiritually and evolve, we really get how important others are, because we start to understand the spiritual awareness of oneness, that this is me and I am you, and therefore your needs are just as great to me as my own, because you are me, right? So this is something we actually kind of get intrinsically and on a deep instinctual level just by being born. We need that our parents, our external world is us, and that's how we feel secure. So to go back to what this is saying, there will be intuition to protect what makes you feel secure. Now, as we progress through time, we are supposed to realize at some level that yes, we need other people, and yes, we're all connected, and yet that sense of security needs to be rooted from within, because until we're a cohesive collective, we feel fragmented when we're in contact with the world at large, because we're not all seeing things the same way. There's not consensus yet, right? So therefore we feel very insecure when we put our sense of security out there. So we have to learn that initially I needed my security to be externalized because I couldn't take care of myself. At some point that was supposed to switch, and so was my awareness. For many of us, that awareness didn't switch. We just reattached to external security. So instead of the parents, it was the job, or the mortgage, or the car, or the money, or the relationship, right? We just reattached it because we never got the memo that we were supposed to internalize that sense of security and like bring it in with us and realize that what really makes us secure is having a sense of meaning and purpose, right? And some sense of who we are. We don't have to know that whole answer. I don't think you can, but some sense of who you are on a deeper level. That helps to anchor your security within. And the good news is there's plenty of time to do that. It's like, but we're being asked to continually do that, continually, because as the structures change around us, as the societal structures change, shift, break down, new ones are built, if you're still attaching to, let's say, the money in your bank account, what happens when the bank account disappears? Because the structure changes. And that's just an example, but just imagine what that would do if you hadn't realized that actually nothing outside of me can take away my sense of self and who I am, and that I'm not only here to survive, I'm here to thrive, right? So we've got to learn to start doing that. There's intuition here to help us do it. Mental outcomes, success from attitudes from the past about support. So as we start to shift our awareness of what makes us feel secure and shift our ideas about what security is, it's naturally going to ripple into the area of support. And we're going to start seeing that the support we've been looking for, the support we've been really craving from the world around us, or maybe fixating on certain people with, is the support we've desired from within the whole time, right? So again, support and security go together. They're kind of two wings of the same energy. And people get, hooked in one of these areas. They're either really hooked and worried about, how to feel secure, how to get their needs met, or how to feel supported, which is sort of the same thing, but through the energy of needing other people to validate me and make okay and hold me when I can't hold myself. And again, we're being asked to shift that as well, and to start to see that You have been supported, especially, like there have been times where you may have been supported but didn't feel like it. And what the reason you didn't feel it from the people supporting you is because you weren't supporting yourself. You didn't have your own back. So what we're going to do as we look backwards is probably realize, actually, I had more support in that moment than maybe I realized. And then we're going to look around and go, okay, so why didn't I feel it? And you'll notice if it's because you didn't have your own back. I didn't believe in myself. And that was actually the support that I was looking for. I was just projecting it outside of me because I had no idea that actually that's my job. And you don't, most people don't know until they understand it. The beautiful thing is, as you develop it, as you truly start to understand it, then you can start sharing that with other people. You can start showing them how it's done, and people will seek you out because they will recognize that, not only are you not a person who's constantly needing validation or being dependent on others, but you seem to have it really together, right? Like you've got it together, and you are always available to give support, and it's always an appropriate amount of support. It's never too much or too little. All right, and then the physical outcome benefits resulting from the history of your home base or family. Well, the beautiful thing about this is as we start to identify the thought patterns and the stories we tell, as we start to sort of clean up the self-doubt and give ourselves the support and give ourselves a sense of security, we really start to kind of clear the past. And this is work that leads to ancestral healing as well, because then we start to see people in the light that's more accurately reflecting them than the story or the character that we assigned them. We start healing from that. And even if it's just on an internal mental level at this time, it's still healing. People feel it energetically when they're off the hook. They can feel it when you're being generous in your thoughts towards them. They can feel it when it's the opposite way too. But that's the benefit I see here, is that we're not getting reinvested into the stories around that. We're not re-involving ourselves in past trauma. Instead, we're simply realizing, this is where I was on the hook and I set myself free. This is where I stopped believing I could support myself, and I now choose to see that I can support myself again. That the one I've really been waiting for is myself. The person I've been waiting for permission from the most was myself. The person that I needed to support me the most was myself. And the person that made me feel the most confident and secure is myself. So with that, I hope that you have a beautiful week. I hope you get in touch with these knots or hooks and they just let yourself off of them. The stories can clear up on their own to a degree. And if there are some areas where the knot is tighter, that just means there's deeper work there. But the beautiful thing is, the awareness will then bring in the opportunities and the assistance you'll need for healing. Sending you so much love. Mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.